Hello fellow YouTubers, truth seekers, and Mandela affected. I'm Darkwolf, and this is Darkwolf's Den. I'm so glad everybody came by the den today. It's really great to have you guys here. The door don't open very often, so when it does, I'm so glad there's somebody on the other side. I really hope you enjoy what we got for you today. Today we're going to talk about something that has fascinated me for a very long time. I love ufology. Ufology, if you don't know, is a study of UFOs. And within the ufology community, there are different groups. One of my favorite groups is the crop circle group, because these things right here are so incredibly geometric and incredibly designed and patterned. It's just mind-boggling to think that these are made overnight in somebody's field. Keep in mind, this is from the air. Each one of those rows, you can fit a truck down. All this area is cut out into these amazing, repetitive, geometric patterns that are almost, if not entirely, flawless in my opinion. They've been decoded by different people, or attempted to be. Especially ones like this. This has actually been decoded. This ring in the side, with the different dashes in it, just like this one. They've been decoded as a binary, and if I'm not mistaken, a ASCII or a text form. I don't have the exact text of what they say. I might put that in another video later. But they're actually scientists who have studied this. Yes, real scientists who have studied this and come up with actual code that matches. So there's even logic to this. It's really scary how quickly these things are made, and to what depth and degree, and the detail in which they have in them. So if you guys want to stick around, maybe by studying this, at least this little bit of information that I'm going to give you, we can all become amateur seriologists. What is a seriologist? Well, it's someone who studies different types of cereals, right? No, just kidding. It's someone who studies crop circles, especially one who believes that they are not man-made or formed of other terrestrial processes. So, if you don't think that they are made by any process on this earth or man, then you're especially a seriologist. But maybe we can just be amateur seriologists who just study crop circles. How's that? Sound good, guys? Sounds good to me. Alright. So, first, let's go back and learn a little history. That's what you do when you first get into a topic. You go back and learn the history of the topic, right? So the first and earliest find we have for a crop circle is in 1678 in a pamphlet entitled The Mowing Devil. It is the pamphlet that tells the story of a farmer who made a deal with the devil to mow his field. While the woodcut illustration appears to show a demonic creature cutting the field in a circular pattern, the story indicates the whole field was mysteriously cut, not just a small section, as in the case of modern crop circles. Another early case comes from the 19th century. Nature magazine published an article on July 29, 1880. In this article, they reported some circles that amateur scientist John Rand Capron said he'd found in a field near Guildford in Surrey, England. According to Capron, the storms about this part of Surrey had been lately local and violent, and the effects produced in some instances curious. Visiting a neighbor's farm on Wednesday evening, we found a field standing wheat considerably knocked about, not as an entirety, but in patches forming, as viewed from a distance, circular spots. Examined more closely, these all presented much the same character, vis-a-vis a few standing stalks as the center, some prostrate stalks with their heads arranged pretty evenly in a direction forming a circle around the center, and outside these a circular wall of stalks which had not suffered. Capron thought the circles he observed were somehow weather related, and suggestive to him of cyclonic wind action. The next, we have the Wiltshire crater, reported in the New Scientist, August 8th, 1963. This is by Patrick Moore. Patrick Moore, later Sir Patrick Moore, was a famous British astronomer. In 1963, he wrote a detailed letter to the New Scientist regarding a mysterious crater of possible meteoric origin that had appeared in a field in Wiltshire, which had attracted significant public and media attention. In describing his inspection of the crater, Moore incidentally mentioned several unusual circles of flattened wheat in fields adjoining the potato field in which the crater had appeared. At this time, the term crop circle had not been coined, and there was no real public interest in it anyway. However, there can be little doubt that he was actually describing a real crop circle. As he says, in the adjoining wheat field were other features, taking the form of circular or elliptical areas in which the wheat had been flattened. I saw these myself. They had not been much visited and were certainly peculiar. One, very well defined, was an oval 15 yards long and 4 3/4 broad. There was evidence of spiral flattening, and in one case there was a circular area in the center in which the wheat had not been flattened. So you've got a circle with an open area on the inside, or a growing area on the inside, and the wheat around it has not only been flattened, but circularly flattened, twisted as it was flattened. This is not the only report that has been given of this. It's the only report I have in this report, however, is not the only one that I've run across in all my time studying these. So, this work is significant for many, many reasons. Mainly because it comes from a trained scientist and authority figure, a person who we look for information. Secondly, because the description of the circles was secondary to another unusual and well-documented event. Third, because the description confirms the 1880 experience captured in the Nature magazine. So, it's very likely that this wasn't any kind of hoax. And remember, this is back in the 1900s, 1600s, like way, way back. This is 19th century, this one is. So keep that in mind, that this is way before technology and modern day and things like that. Now, theories abound as to why these may be occurring. This is the fun part. First, we're going to cover the most obvious and most logical. It was all a great big hoax. Well, these two guys right here are Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley. They are probably the main contributing reason why science does not look at crop circles more strongly than they do. In 1991, they come out claiming that they created all of England's crop circles as art. This is in general association with the array that some might also call pseudosciences, so this is another reason why scientists won't touch the crop circles. But these guys here, they really, really damaged any kind of serious study of this phenomenon. Because prior to 91 in their claims, and here's how they did this, by the way. Prior to their claims, there was no talk of hoax. But the way they come out and claim they did it was they would tie two wires to the end of a board. And then they tie a wire across from a post they put in the ground to an area on the other part of the field. And they would just flatten the ground like that. And then they would use the board to smooth out the edges. Well, as great and easily logical as this may sound, yes, they may have done some of them like this, and I don't discount that some of them are hoaxes. I don't doubt that a bit. You have that everywhere, especially in any type of UFO community. However, you cannot create the effects that we have seen in these crop circles, like localized twisting, not opposed to a board twisting the same large areas of twist all the time. No, the localized twisting is formed differently every time. There's no way that this could be just a hoax, in my opinion. However, I'm not the only one that has this opinion. They did hurt the actual scholarly scientific looking at it, and it did not help in 2009 when National Geographic Channel challenged a group of artists called the Circle Makers to reproduce a highly complex pattern designed by a professor of mathematics of the Imperial College of London. The formation, based on circles of Apollonius, required making over 80 circles of various sizes in exacting locations across the field. The group had to do this in a single night, arriving after dark and leaving before sunrise. Though the work took most of the evening, circle makers were able to complete the complex diagram without mistakes, demonstrating that even the most complex formations can be made by a group of dedicated workers in just a few hours. However, once again, it did not mention the actual eyewitness evidence of the twisted wheat as it was flattened. One cereologist, Jenny Randles, a believer in weather theory, wrote, "I would put hoaxes to comprise something over 50% of the total." And I agree. A good amount of hoaxes most likely exist in this field. But even if you can discount 99% of anything, if there's even 1% left, there's something. And that's what's important. Not the fact that some are hoaxed, but the fact that some are actually real. So, the weather theory states that it could be a plasma vortex that was suddenly created. There are several theories held by cereologists who think crop circles are a result of somewhat not well understood physical phenomenon. For instance, George Tennis Meaden, a former professor of physics, called this a plasma vortex phenomenon, which he defined as a spinning mass of air which has accumulated a significant fraction of electrically charged matter. According to Meaden, the effect is similar to that of ball lightning but larger and longer lasting. So what is a plasma vortex? So a plasma vortex is a variation of a compact toroid. A toroid is nothing more than a donut. So anytime you hear the big word toroid or toroidal, it just means like a donut. A donut structure of plasma and magnetic fields with no coils penetrating the center. So this research lost its funding in 1978 according to official documentation. However, they have later on proven that plasma vortexes are very much real, and it's just holding plasma within a magnetic barrier. So it's not exactly woo-woo either. The fact that it could be naturally created, well, lightning is plasma, so that's not so woo-woo either. Then we have military experiments. This is another cereologist theory. Some have also suggested that the circles are a result of top-secret military experiments, noting that it might be possible to project a beam of high-intensity microwaves from a distance to collapse the field. If the beam was controlled by a computer, it would be possible for it to sweep out any pattern desired, no matter how complex. Why the military would wish to puzzle the public with a display is unclear, but their suggestions might be part of a dark psychological experiment. In my opinion, it could really even be something as deep as counterintelligence at its highest level. But I doubt that it's a military experiment. That is only my opinion. I always urge you, do not take my opinion to heart at all. Take your own opinion, take the information you're given, and make your own decision. Use your own discernment. And we hope you do that as you listen to any and everything you ever hear and see. So the last one, or not the last one, I'm sorry, the third one, and of course, like I mentioned before, I found this from the UFO field, is that they're being created by UFOs. Proponents of this theory note that occasional crop circles seem to appear in conjunction with UFO sightings. Some of the early simple crop circles certainly do suggest fields that might have been flattened by the weight of a grounded flying saucer. As the circles have become more complex in shape, though, proponents of the UFO theory have had to modify their ideas, suggesting that the marks left are due to the strange effects of the craft's drive force on the plants, which is very possible, I think. Others even argue that the shapes are messages purposely left by the alien spaceship's crew. Again, these two here have been decoded to be messages, so this is not so outlandish. The last is the weather theory, and this is the idea that somehow sudden tornadoes or some kind of plasmatic release ball lightning, whirlwinds, some other weather phenomenon could be causing the crop circles. There's actually a load of evidence for this, and I could actually make a whole another video on just this topic, so I'm not going to include it all here. But if you would like to look into this, there is a lot of evidence to suggest they could be made by weather. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying there's a lot to suggest it. There's a lot to suggest different things there too. Again, use your own discernment, but I do implore that you please look at these. At least look into it on your own time, I mean. So, last but not least, I'd like to know, what do you guys think? Is it aliens telling us we're here, and if you're really clever, this is how you meet us? Is it freaky weather? Is the military playing with our heads in a super top secret game of whodunits? Is it just some other odd phenomenon that we haven't even thought of or mentioned? What do you guys think? Let me know down there in the comments. I can't wait to hear from you. Also, one more announcement. I said that we would have a new contest when we reach 200 subscribers. We're almost there, guys. We need just a couple more, and we can announce this brand new contest with a brand new giveaway, guys. So if you really, really want to be entered into it, I'll announce the rules as soon as we hit 200. And it'll be a great big thank you to my subscribers and everybody who's watched my videos. Everybody will be able to enter it. I promise you. You don't have to be an artist or anything this time. But to get details, you guys got to tell your friends, pass this around, share it, let everybody know about the channel, let everybody know about the awesome stuff we're doing here and over at UniRock. We're partner channels, so I have no problem shouting him out. He helps us out all the time. Guys, definitely get our name out there. Let everybody know we're putting both sides out. No matter what the topic is, we're going to give you all the sides of it. We might give you our opinion, but we ask you make up your own minds. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this information. I really, really hope you share this. Let everybody know. Oh my goodness, they're closing the door, guys. I got to go. Thanks again. Bye.